we will see what kind of Doctor Strange you are.
Marvel Studios Doctor Strange.
It's been a minute. We haven't done a review in a while. And luckily, Manny actually went to go see a movie recently. And that's not normally the case with him. Normally, we got to wait a month before we can get around to these reviews. But he actually got to see Doctor Strange.
I saw the Batman.
Yeah.
We did a review of the Batman.
That was one out of like 100 of movies that you were like, I ain't seen it yet. I ain't seen it yet. Or you think like most of the reviews are just me? What do you think? Me and maybe Arc. And then he might show up for one. Where if it's been like 2 months later and it was like, oh yeah, I saw it now. We can do a review now. But anyway, so we saw Doctor Strange.
We
finally get a chance to talk to it. By now, I'm sure everybody at this point, this is going to be our spoiler review. So our spoiler warning goes up. If you haven't seen it, please go ahead and turn this video off. And then maybe turn it on and just say you saw it. But anyway, so...
and I'm surprised that you didn't do like your personal one.
The only reason is because I got busy.
Because you do a non-spoiler,
Yeah.
and then I watch your non-spoiler. People don't think I would do, but I do. And, I usually go off that. This is complete freeball.
Yeah, so this is complete. So I didn't get a chance to do a non-spoiler review. I just kind of got busy. I had a whole bunch of things going on. So we get to finally, like, fresh out of the box, talk about it. So let's talk about it. What were your first thoughts about Doctor Strange?
Well, first of all, let's go with the goods.
Oh, that's fine. I'm sorry.
If you've never
messed up our whole format.
If you've never seen any of our reviews, we actually do a more or less a breakdown as far as the goods and the bads. We try to give as much detail as we possibly can, not as much as we do in our You Don't Hates, but we put our 2 cents in as much as possible on the stuff that we caught. Obviously, there's like some eagle eye pros on YouTube. We are not those.
Definitely not. We just saw the movie. That's it. We just saw it.
We just saw it. Here we go. I ain't got time for all that. Let's go.
Breaking it down scene by scene. We ain't doing all that stuff. So the goods.
The goods.
What are the goods of
I'm
Dr.
going
Strange?
first.
Yeah, I'm doing all the talking. So yeah, you go first.
I will go first. The goods in this movie is, first of all, this basically takes place right after Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
So when you're watching it, this is technically a spin-off, I guess, if you want to go, when it comes to the storyline of Spider-Man No Way Home. This is absolutely, takes place right after that. This is also a sequel to WandaVision. This is somewhat of a spin-off to what's going on in the events of Loki, which actually is the prime cause of everything. Strange, probably thinks it's because of what he did in No Way Home, but it's actually Loki the events in Loki that caused all this.
It was some low-key events.
Some low-key events. Very well played. But the goods in this movie, first of all, is, hey, welcome back Sam Raimi to comic book movies, man. Because one of the goods for me was Sam effing Raimi.
Yes, definitely.
His direction, his influence on this whole movie, you can just see it. There are elements of Spider-Man in this. There are elements of Evil Dead in this. It is absolutely phenomenal, and he does not hold back. Whether this is a Marvel film, an MCU film,
I thought
or not,
he was a little restrained because he had to.
I
thought
do
he was
too.
a little restrained.
I do too.
I felt like he wanted to go so much further, and they held him back.
And to be honest with you, and I'm gonna get into her in a little bit, I wish, but literally, his approach to the Scarlet Witch was very much Henrietta from Evil Dead, or any of the female, Evil Dead demons and all of that. And you want to talk about restraint. Can you imagine what he would have done with her? Because that is a prime character to go this route and just go like all out.
Right.
He did not, but let's move forward. All right, so having Sam Raimi back, absolutely good. This is a visually stunning film. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. We'll get into the bads in a minute, but visually, this is a freaking amazing film.
Yes.
It is a beautiful shot film. I loved it. I love the cinematography, shot selection, the special effects. Everything on this movie is freaking fantastic. So I love that.
Yes.
Benedict Cumberbatch is absolutely perfect.
Oh yeah.
As Doctor Strange. This is the role.
Every time we see him on there, he really becomes Doctor Strange. He really starts to say like, I've invested into this character. I couldn't see anybody else. Just like we said, we can't see anybody else as Iron Man. We can't see anybody else as Captain America. I can't see anybody else as Doctor Strange.
Absolutely not. And what's funny is that in the early MCU days, they had offered Benedict Cumberbatch a smaller role. I can't remember the role it was, but he turned it down because he wanted something bigger.
Right.
This was it. I'm glad he waited because he is awesome in this role. I'll get into the bads in a little bit, but regardless, he was great. Obviously, Benedict Wong, amazing in this movie. but everybody says it. I'm writing on this. Elizabeth effing Olsen is the epitome of freaking power, women power, feminine power, everything. She is absolutely phenomenal in this damn movie. If you could give an Oscar, I would give it to her right now.
One of the great things about this is that we literally got to see her arc. We got to see her arc from hero to being broken to becoming villain. Not in this movie, no. From Avengers, where she was, she was villain to she became hero. And when we get to Infinity War and Endgame, stuff like that, to where we get to WandaVision, and when she's broken, to where she's like, I'm just a villain again.
Well, she's broken completely in WandaVision.
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying.
Like WandaVision is all based off
She's
grief.
broken, yeah. And then now it's just like, I am just straight villain.
And like Vision said, you
want to talk? So they always talk about like, you don't know the villains don't mean anything. No, it's like this was, you saw a complete arc of somebody becoming a villain.
And this grief is only love persevering. I mean, that line from Vision and at the end of WandaVision was absolutely Vision, was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it was like perfect of what she's going through. Right. But you look at her, and you want to talk arc. You're looking at losing her brother in Ultron.
Right.
And then becoming an Avenger. And then, like you said, having to see him die twice.
Yeah.
Once being the cause of it, and then you're actually seeing him die, So all the events of WandaVision, you just see her progression, but the end of WandaVision where she kind of like embraces who she really is. And that's the key word. I really don't even want to call it a villain role. I know she is playing that to a certain degree, but I want to look at it more as her culmination of everything that she goes. Now this is who she really, really is. Right. And there's a lot of good in there, but there's that balance of bad too. So in her eyes, it's not. But
like I say, in the villain's mind, he's a hero of his own story.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is no different. She is absolutely phenomenal in this movie. One of the bright spots in it. She does the whole Luke Skywalker thing, where she's out of body and all that. But fantastic. The Illuminati scene was absolutely fantastic. She was perfection in that in that whole scene. It's a lot like going back to the Star Wars references here, it's a lot like that whole Vader scene in Rogue One. It's a lot like that whole Luke Skywalker scene in Mandalorian. It's like, her against everybody, and she is just perfect in this damn movie. So that was another thing. I cannot pronounce Zitel. Is that her? Zitel Garcia Gomez? Is that her name? The one that plays America Chavez?
Oh, I don't know her name.
I think
sorry,
it's Zitel Gomez. I'm sorry.
No research on this one. We just literally just sat down, so we're gonna do the review.
I want to say her name is Xochitl or something like that. But regardless, it doesn't matter. She's freaking awesome in this movie. Now everybody was talking about I want to say it's Zitel Gomez or something like that. I'm so sorry I didn't
Google it.
But she's phenomenal in it. Anyway, it's a good introduction for America Chavez. In this, obviously there was some controversy becoming one of the first lead member of the LG, community, and it's fine. She did freaking amazing. I didn't think any of that mattered because of her screen presence. She was just.
I wasn't a big. I wasn't. She wasn't. America Chavez wasn't like a big character that I followed. So even when we were talking about the trailer and stuff like that, I was like limited knowledge on it, and I wasn't really gonna sit there and study for it. I didn't think she was gonna have that big of a role in this movie, but she did. And for the role that she had, I think that she did what she was supposed to do. She was a, what do they call it, like a MacGuffin, or like something just to carry the plot along. And it's like her being the, like, why we need to get things done and what makes this movie go. I was absolutely fine with it. I think she did a great job in what she did. And I do kind of want to see more out of it, even though I don't understand how they're going to use her going forward, but I do kind of want to see her more out of her.
So
more than I want to see from the Hawkeye show.
Kate Bishop?
No, the deaf girl.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't want to see that.
Yeah,
I don't want to see that. I want to see my America Chavez. Echo, that's her name.
Yeah, but either way, it was a beautifully shot film. The acting was great. Special effects were amazing. And it really, just continued everything that's going on when you're blending everything from the series to to Spider-Man No Way Home. You have all of that continuation. So that part I really liked about it too. So what are your goods?
Oh, my goods, definitely the second half of this movie. The second half of the movie. We'll talk about the bads in the first half of this movie. But the second half of this movie, where Sam Raimi they released the reins. They were like, have at it. This is your movie in the second half of the movie. Where it literally became him saying like, oh, I get to do some horror-esque stuff. I get to really like show you the extent of her powers and how her madness can be. Like you said, she did an amazing job. And I think where they're showing like her powers and the battles that she has between it, they really show like how powerful the Scarlet Witch is in the MCU in general. And it was like when she is unleashed, there is nobody can stop it. I mean, I know he's not the Sorcerer Supreme at this point, but like Doctor Strange himself, he can't even stop her. And he was like, look, I can hold her off for a minute, but I can't stop her. Nobody can stop her. And it was like, I was really on board with that. And to kind of see her madness unleash and like the extent that she went. I love the fact that they killed people. When we get to the Illuminati, it was like, hey, we're showing the Illuminati. No, we're going to murder them. We're going to absolutely murder them. It's like, so those were like, I am glad that they really let him do what he wanted to do in this. Marvel could have been like, oh, you're wounded. We'll see you in another movie later on. Or like, we don't want to do anything too dark. And they let it get dark in this film. And I really love that. I also love the fact, like you said, with Doctor Strange, that, Benedict Cumberbatch has really embraced his role. This is now him. We now associate Benedict Cumberbatch with Doctor Strange. Couldn't see anybody else in the role. He is really understanding what this character is, and he's portraying it on screen.
I would say that he is Robert Downey Jr. now.
Yeah, he is at this point. Yeah.
And I'm okay with it. I mean, I don't think I know Tom Holland's young.
Yes.
But I think that, you have to have a straight up Oscar nominated actor with substance. And Cumberbatch brings that. And he can definitely blend the dramatic side and the humorous side and find that balance, just like Robert Downey Jr. did.
Yes.
So that's why, honestly, I would rather him be the one, because he played a role similar to Downey's in Spider-Man Homecoming. He played that role in No Way Home, and it was a good balance. It was good to have him in there. It was good to have him in Thor. It was good to have him in these little spots, because he is just has that screen presence, and like I said, has the ability to balance that and bring some substance to the role at the same time, having that humor at it to it. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
The action scenes in this movie were amazing. Even from, like I said, my faults with this movie when we get to the bats is the first half of this movie. But even in the first half, they gave us all these great action scenes, from the opening scene to where we get to this universe's Doctor Strange and the Gargantos, I think is the one-eyed octopus creature that he fought. It was like, to that scene, it was like, look, Marvel knows how to keep you like in your seat or on the edge of your seat in an action scene. They do a great job with it. I've never been disappointed with Marvel and their action scenes. And this was another film where I'm like, thank you for keeping me interested and keeping me like there and enjoying my film. So but like the action scenes,
Marvel action, and Sam Raimi's action.
Yeah, exactly. So the action scenes, Benedict Cumberbatch's his acting for Doctor Strange, Elizabeth Olsen as the Scarlet Witch, Sam Raimi being able to let loose and be Sam Raimi. And I was like, these are all the great things that happened in this film. Do you have any more?
I do.
Oh, go ahead.
So,
because we're going to finish the goods.
Yeah, I want to finish the goods. What I liked about this too, and if you want to give me heat, it's cool.
All right.
And that is the fact that they were not held hostage by fan service. They were not held hostage by the expectations, the rumors, all of this stuff, because
there was a lot of rumors that they could have done that they did not do,
just a movie, appease us. To be honest with you, this movie earned so much money in the beginning, the first 3 days. I want to say it did 180, close to 200, 187 million. Way more than that internationally, as far as worldwide gross. But they did that out of curiosity, similar to how Endgame, it blew it out of the water in the first 3 days because everybody wanted to know what the hell happened after Infinity War.
Right.
Everybody wants to know what the hell happened after freaking Spider-Man No Way Home and the series and WandaVision. But then you have that factor of the Fox merger and the perfect element, atmosphere. I mean,
yes,
to bring these finally bring these characters into the fold.
They could have done a lot.
They could have done a lot,
and they did not. They
held back. Now there are some. Now this is going to be a double-edged sword for me because I'm actually going to have this particular point be part of the bads too. But at this moment, while we're in the goods, it was a good thing that they did not go that route because we talked about this recently when we were doing the Spider-Man No Way Home review, and that was the fact that there was no real drive as far as plot in No Way Home that would take what happened in Far From Home to progress Peter Parker to a certain degree.
Right.
Now, granted, he does progress in a sense where he becomes more of the concept of what Spider-Man is in the comics, being broke and forgotten and all this other stuff. At the end, absolutely. But the driving force of No Way Home were the Raimi villains, were the Amazing Spider-Man villains, all of the familiarity of the villains, because you were capitalizing on nostalgia from everything that we had in the Raimi films. And is it Mark Webb?
Sure.
I think it's Mark Webb.
I'm Spider-Man
films.
Sure, yeah. I think
the
it was
Amazing
Mark
Spider-Man
Webb,
films, and then having Garfield and Tobey. That was the driving force of Spider-Man No Way Home. That's why that movie made so much. A lot of nostalgia, a lot of fan service, and all that. Great movies. Best movie of 2021 for me. But it didn't do as much as I wanted to do as far as progressing storyline after Endgame. This one was actually a little the same, or it could have been the same, but it didn't. It kind of drove a little bit after No Way Home. It kind of, and then you're getting introduced to different characters like America Chavez. So it's kind of like going on. And,
I think it. So,
do you understand what I'm talking about?
I'm trying to say is like it's progressing the story. I think it did progress the story. It just didn't progress the story from the from the movie aspect of it. It progressed the television aspect of it forward.
The WandaVision part and the Loki part.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. That's a lot. That's very true. And
because it really progressed that stuff.
But I am okay with that. What I'm saying is that they did not take an easy way out and bring in, Wolverine, Deadpool, and all these. They didn't do that. They could have. And they didn't. And now they gave you the Illuminati, which is going to be part of my bads.
They gave me enough. I was happy with what they gave me. They gave me enough.
To a certain degree.
Only it's in the bads, and we'll talk. Well, it's not the bads. But it's a side note about what I didn't get out of it.
Okay,
but go ahead.
From them being brave enough to think of story and not fan service and not just fall victim to that whole pressure of having to bring out Ryan Reynolds, having to bring out Hugh Jackman, or having you do. No, I mean that's I think that's what a lot of people wanted. Is what a lot of people expected. I didn't either. There were certain things I did want, I didn't get, but it's okay. We'll talk about it in the bads.
All right.
But yeah, so that was that. That's the end part of my goods.
Okay.
The bravery that they continued with progression of the story, or a different arc that's leading into that's in part of Phase 4 that's going to definitely lead into
I guess I can
Avengers 5.
I can put it in the goods. Look, let's talk about the Illuminati. So we're talking about what we didn't get. Let's talk about what we did get. It's like, look, we got John Krasinski. So if we got John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, that means we're going to get Emily Blunt as the Invisible Woman. Because that's what the fans wanted. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about what the fans didn't get when we were like the things that the fans didn't get and all the fan service that like they gave us and they did not give us. That's like they gave us John Krasinski. So
they gave us Haley Atwell.
It's like, dude,
they gave us Carter.
Haley Atwell as Captain Carter. They gave us John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic. They gave us Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel. She was called Captain Marvel, right? She was Captain Marvel. They brought back Baron Mordo.
And they did give you
Patrick Stewart as Professor
Charles
Xavier. Yeah, exactly. So they gave us a lot. So I can't really like harp on the fact of all the other like random theories that we had out there of what we could get. The one we'll talk about later. The one I was really upset about, we'll talk about later, that we didn't get. I was really kind of disappointed. I kept calling in the theater. I was like, no, And no,
Nope.
dang it. But that's I guess that will cap off the good. So it's like, look, having John Krasinski there solidifies him as a character in the MCU because multi-universe, they can say like, okay, that was that
Well,
universe.
that was
Mr. Fantastic.
what is it? 638.
It was 838.
Yeah, 838 and
the-
616 or something like that.
I didn't like that they called the MCU 616 because the 616 is the comic book universe, and to say that the MCU is the same as the comic universe, then it has to match.
And it doesn't.
And it doesn't. So you either change the comic books now to match the MCU, or
Well, it's kind of like a soft adaptation.
yeah. And I was
It's
like,
not
I don't want that. Just call it a different universe.
Yeah.
And we were already accepting it as a different universe.
But what they
anyway.
were saying was that is that pretty much the same actor is everywhere. But
Are we on the bads now?
No. But in certain multiverse, they're different.
Yes.
Which is why you have 3 different Spider-Man.
Right.
Because they don't look all. They
Right,
don't
but they
all
all
look like,
have individual numbers. Even in the comics, they all have individual numbers. So
anyway,
the
go
call, I didn't like that. That was.
You want to get the
We're doing
bad now?
good?
Or what?
All right, so I can talk about why I didn't like it.
All right, here we go. Let's
All right.
get it.
So
Bads.
let's start here. You know, it's like with the 616. It's like I was unhappy. Not that I didn't like it. I was unhappy to call it the 616 because now it convolutes things. So to call this universe 616 now means that you now have to correct the comic books, or you have to make the movies match the comic books. And I don't need them to be the same. I need them to be. I'm fine with them being different. Just call it a different universe. And when we were talking about fan service, calling the MCU the 616 was fan service. That was literally for the fanboys who knows that the comic book universe is called the 616. That's the main Marvel universe, the 616. So doing that, they were like, oh, the fanboys are going to go crazy that this is the universe 616. No, it confuses things. It messes up the fanboys. All you did was call more confusing for the fanboys to say like, well, how do the comic books? Are you going to rename the comic book universe? Or like, what's going to go on? I didn't quite like that. That's a nitpick. My problem with the movie was Sam Raimi's movie versus the MCU movie. And the first half of this movie was an MCU movie.
I can see that.
Yeah.
It was very Guardians of the Galaxy type.
The second half of this movie was a Sam Raimi movie. And that's why I love the second half of this film. The first half of this movie was just okay. And I was sitting in the theater, sitting there like, it's okay. It's okay. And maybe making apologies for it. It's okay. And then when Sam Raimi, his vision took complete control, I was like, I love this movie now. I absolutely love this movie. But that first half of that movie, it was too much of an MCU movie.
But you have to admit,
it was too jokey. I was like,
okay, I'll get to that when it's my turn. But don't you think that her coming out of the puddle or whatever, the mirror, whatever the hell she comes out, and she's doing all the Evil Dead shit, that was very Sam Raimi.
Yes.
So I mean, that's in the beginning of the movie.
Yes, but they didn't let him free until halfway through this movie.
How about her emotion?
Yes.
Like his direction of her in the first half of the movie.
I mean, like the things that she did in the first half of this movie where she was
It's
like,
phenomenal.
Yeah, so where she was like, hey, I'm being reasonable. And it was like,
This
the
is
next
me
time
being reasonable.
The next time you see me, you'll be talking to the Scarlet Witch. You won't be talking to Wanda. And I was like, that's great. And once again, this is a part of me why I
But
loved
this is
her.
the beginning.
This
is part of the beginning.
I loved what she did in this film. But like I said, sometimes it was too jokey. Sometimes it
I
seemed,
agree
it seemed
100% with that.
unfocused at the beginning.
Do you think that it was forced at times? Because I thought
I'm sure that I feel like the beginning was forced by the MCU to say this is what we have to do.
Yeah, I think it was.
I will let you
forced.
have the second half of this movie, but the beginning of this movie has to fit this, and that's the part I didn't like about it. I feel this is another situation where who originally directed Ant-Man. He did Baby Driver and
not Ramirez.
No.
Edgar
Wright.
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright.
I think it's Edgar Wright.
It'll be on screen.
Edgar something.
But anyway, so this is one of the things like here where he wrote a great movie for Ant-Man, but because the MCU wanted to fit a certain format, he dropped out of the film and he let somebody else direct it. But we all sat and watched that movie and we were like, that's an Edgar Wright film.
That's a good film.
Yeah, it was a good film. But if he had complete control of it, how much better could that film have been?
Well, I mean, you're going back to Suicide Squad and David Ayers.
Exactly.
Same thing.
No. David Ayers would screw that movie up. I don't think David Ayers was going to screw that movie up. But I feel like Sam Raimi, one, could have concised his movie a little bit, but also two, a full Sam Raimi Doctor Strange movie. Because I even said to myself, like halfway through this movie, I was like, I felt like the visuals that we got in the second half of this film really became I don't know if you ever read any of the Doctor Strange comic books. No. So like it literally became a Doctor Strange comic book.
Yeah.
It became a Doctor Strange comic book. And like I said, so my biggest gripe with this film is the first half, because I feel like the MCU, and as much as we love Kevin Feige, I feel like they had too much influence on the beginning of this movie to make it fit a certain format. And then they let the reins loose.
Because you look at it and it reminiscent of the beginning scene of Infinity War when Ebony Maw comes down, and that whole fight scene. That's basically what Doctor Strange.
It's very
similar to that. But you're right, and then it's especially if you look at the colors, man. The use of red is fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like
well, then there's a theory about like the use of red, and it was like that, like Doctor Strange at that point is controlling chaos magic because he no longer has the time.
The time stone.
Yeah.
And
so
why
now
is that?
he's using well, there's other things about that.
Yeah, I'm just curious because you're supposed to take it back, and to where, like,
why did he have the eye?
Why did he not have the time stone anymore?
Because it got destroyed, and his timeline is destroyed. They destroyed it with Thanos.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
Did they?
They destroyed the whole gauntlet.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry.
Or Thanos destroyed the gauntlet, so that way they couldn't reset everything.
Correct.
So he destroyed the gauntlet, so there was no time stone anymore.
Right.
So I don't know why I guess the Eye of Agamotto is containing chaos magic, and that's why it's so red, because of the chaos magic that's throughout.
Okay, got you.
All right. But anyway, so that beginning.
Taking your word for it, because I have no idea what you're talking about.
So the beginning of the movie is my biggest gripe about the movie. And I feel like that is my only gripe with the movie, is the beginning of the movie, because the second half of this movie, like when we get to Act 2, it's Act 2.
I would say Act 2.
I was like, Act 2, I was on board. I was like, I love this movie. And I felt like I was apologizing for this movie at the beginning of this movie. I was like, I love this movie. Now, my little gripes is that when we talk about the fan service, where I got John Krasinski, and I got Patrick Stewart, and I got Haley Atwell back, I'm mad. Because people were like, oh, we didn't get the X-Men. I wanted them to address Black Panther. Because Black Panther, in certain aspects of the Illuminati, was either turned down the Illuminati or later on added to the Illuminati, or I didn't get Iron Man, Tom Cruise.
Spot on that. Now
they could have also done Namor, and that's the other one they could have done. I would have been fine with that too, but I feel like if they'd have done that, maybe they were taken away from his actual introduction in possible Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. But I would have thought like, hey, throw Black Panther in there.
Well,
or do the Iron Man Tom Cruise. That would have been like, I got everything I wanted.
That's exactly what I wanted. Was Tom Cruise to be Iron Man. That's really what I wanted. Now the Namor thing, because Namor's part of the Illuminati.
Right.
I get that. So the only thing that I can think of, since he's being introduced in Wakanda Forever, is that
they do Iron Man as the Illuminati, right?
The Illuminati in the 616 or 8 or whatever it is, that has not existed yet.
Yeah.
So that can still happen. So, you know what I mean?
But then you'd have to bring back Robert Downey Jr.
That's very true.
Yeah, so you can't do that. What this was a perfect
then let's bring this guy over here.
It was a perfect opportunity for you to do the Illuminati with Iron Man, because Iron Man's a part of the Illuminati. It's still with Tom Cruise. And then I heard a thing that came out that said, and Lear,
well, you know what? You go ahead.
Nitpicking this movie.
Finish your bets.
Literally nitpicking this movie at this point. But you had an opportunity to do Tom Cruise, and then I heard a thing that said that like they didn't even ask Tom Cruise. All the whole things that like he's on set and stuff like that, they said there was no talks. They never talked to him. And I think there was more along the lines that what's Tom Cruise and like, hey, would you like to do this small role in this? And he was like, I want to do something bigger, or you got to pay me a lot of money. And they were like, forget it.
Yeah.
And they just walked. They were like, Haley Atwell, Patrick Stewart, John Krasinski, that's good enough. And they just walked.
Okay.
But also too, if you looked at it, so we got 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and Ben Patrick Stewart was the hover chair in the middle, right?
Mm-hmm.
7th chair.
Well, that was
empty.
Mortal.
It was empty.
That was Mortal.
No, Mortal was already sitting. Yeah, but there was a chair for Mortal.
He wasn't sitting down.
No, I mean he didn't.
Up.
But there was a chair for him. His chair was right next to Patrick Stewart. He was right there next to Patrick Stewart.
So then Tony just wasn't there.
He either wasn't there, but he wasn't in the scene for the Thanos scene where they killed Doctor Strange.
Oh right.
Mordor, he took Doctor Strange's position, so you can't say that chair is for Doctor Strange. So it's like there's an empty chair there.
You know what's funny is that you were talking about
Namor? Is it for Iron Man? Is it for Black Panther?
Okay, but you were saying like, hey, who's that guy with the sword?
Oh yeah,
it was Mordo.
Yeah, that's what I sucked. I was really upset about
Blade.
that.
You thought it was Blade, and it wasn't
Blade.
Blade.
They had to add him in somehow, and it was like I was really upset about that too. When he came out, I was like, oh, you suck. But literally, I have no real complaints about this movie. None at all. I can nitpick some small things. Like I said, my biggest thing was the first half of this movie, and I felt they really should have let Sam Raimi just take full control of the film. Everything else I have to say is fanboy nitpicks.
All right, so here's my bads.
Go ahead and throw your bads.
My bads, honestly, is that you do have these expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I said before, it's a double-edged sword where you don't want the fan service, you want progression, you want substance, you want all that.
Right.
But in the flip side is that you had the perfect opportunity to do this, to do the introduction. This would be hold on, let me finish. This was the best time to do it. This movie is called The Multiverse
of Madness.
Yes. You're in 2 multiverses, does it?
I mean, they
No.
splashed through some.
No. That's what I'm talking about. Now
We saw the Savage Lands.
the Multiverse of Madness.
We saw the Savage Lands.
The way this was built.
We saw that paint.
I know. But it has to be multiples where they're not
We needed to see more universes.
more universes. Okay. They're in 1, 2.
Pizza
it's
Papa?
done.
That's not good enough.
No. 1, 2, and that's it.
By the way, you didn't love the fact that he was in this movie?
I love that it was in this movie. You cannot have a Raimi film without Bruce Campbell, man. And
I love that he was in it.
I love it because, and this is with all due respect, I absolutely love Bruce Campbell. He's a freaking horror icon. He's an icon. But you rarely see those type of players, the Robert Englund, Kane Hodder. You rarely see those type of players interact with these freaking top whatever, right? It was fantastic that he was in it.
I was so happy when I saw him.
Now, granted, he was in the freaking original trilogy of Spider-Man, so I'll give him that. Obviously.
Should have been Mysterio.
But
oh my god, if he'd have been this universe's Mysterio,
that would have been awesome. I'm still mad that he wasn't Sully in freaking Uncharted.
That would have been great too.
But in the multiverse of Uncharted. But but one of the things that just bothered me so much was that it was a multiverse movie. And you were not in any multiverses.
So this is kind of how people felt about Age of Ultron when it was just like Week of Ultron.
Yeah, basically, if you want to call it that.
Because in the comic book, Age of Ultron went on for a while. And
look at
it was like Multiverse of Madness involved basically 2.5 universes.
I would have loved it if it was the What If, like if you would have had the What If Ultron, like that would have been anyway. But what I'm saying is that you didn't spend enough time in different. Now, if he would have gone to different ones to get different things and do different.
So if we'd have killed the first half of this movie and then have him spend more time in different multiverses, you'd have been happy.
In a way, dude, because you really look at Infinity War. I'll give you Infinity War as an example.
So should this have been 2 movies?
It was really fun. It was fun because you're on these freaking journeys to get all these Infinity Stones, right? And in this one, if there was something that was, there was a driving force that you needed to do, you're trying to hide from Wanda if you want to go this route. Mm-hmm. You're hiding from Wanda. Let's go to one. Now let's go to another. Now let's go to another because she's finding you regardless. Okay. And then the culmination of whatever universe you're gonna go to. But doing that and doing these, I don't give a shit if they're cameos. It's fine. They don't have to be an integral part of the plot. Just a cameo, okay, cool.
So like First Class, you just run by like Wolverine at the bar or something like
fuck
that.
Off. Yeah, exactly. Give me a fuck off line.
Yeah, all right.
But them going to different spots and Wanda following them or finding them.
But then people would have said that was just too much heavy fan service and it wasn't.
I know. That's why I say it's a double-edged sword. Yeah. You just can't. But when you have a title like this and you're expecting this, you should be in more. Not just a freaking flyby and then you're in one and it's over. And that's what I kind of like.
I guess because they were really pinning the multiverse more on Wanda and what she wanted. And her dream was in the multiverse. And not the fact that we were going to visit a bunch of multiverses. Her end goal was the multiverse. And what she could achieve out of that, her dream and her reality was in the multiverse. So that's why.
Okay. Well, that was one.
Yeah.
The second part that bothered me was the Illuminati itself and how they handled it. This is supposed to be like the collection of. This is basically the Avengers.
The smartest minds that they can put together.
And they got beat that bad. They like that bad, that fast, like they were nothing. And I'm gonna give you something now. I didn't go back to the goods because I didn't want to bring it up because I know that it was gonna be part of the bads. But the what mouth scene was perfection.
Scary as shit, right?
Perfection. It was phenomenal.
That's why I was like, Remy, thank you. Thank you.
She was perfect. But I'm agreeing with some of those comments out there that why the hell Reed gonna tell her what's up? Like, don't tell her shit. Just let him do it.
So,
and why are you just standing there?
So Marvel,
she is a freaking
Marvel has done quite a different thing where like they have a character and they're like such and such kills the Marvel universe. Wolverine's done it, Deadpool's done it, and so on and so forth. They have somebody just Punisher's done it, kills the Marvel universe. So I can understand why they would be like, they always think of scenarios where like, in this scenario, this character could kill everybody in the MCU. I love the fact that they made her like Omega. So like, there's a thing in the MCU where like your Omega level characters, Magneto's Omega level, Xavier's Omega level, Jean Grey's Omega level. Where like, these are the top tier.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that.
Powers.
Because.
Right? And it established Scarlet Witch as Omega level. It's like, because she controls reality. It's like, there isn't shit that you could really do to stop her.
She's the reality stone.
Yes, exactly. She is the reality stone. There's not anything that you could really do to stop her. So I was okay with her killing all of the Illuminati because...
Man, put up a better fight than that, though, man. Come on.
How long did you want them to fight?
I want them to fight
for like another hour of the movie. We're gonna make this the Batman and make it 3 hours. So it's like, so I was fine with them because it's an alternate universe.
You look at
in this universe, she wipes them out. You look in the 616, maybe she doesn't wipe them out.
But you look at how Famke Janssen was as Phoenix, and the power that she had was just absolutely like.
And I feel like in that movie, it's like she let Wolverine kill her, and it's like because she could have wiped Wolverine out.
Yeah. Well. He was healing while she was doing this to him.
But she still could have obliterated him to where he couldn't have stabbed her.
I'll give you that.
She was reborn after being drowned in a whole tidal wave, basically.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, Scarlet Witch versus Phoenix, like, damn. But when it comes to this, though,
Omega level.
And I understand, and I guess maybe that would be, you know, why it appeared easy. But you have to admit that they seeed very weak. Very weak.
But they really established her at the beginning and where they were like, where she took on all of Cosmetage.
Right, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
When she took on all of the sorcerers.
And
she could take on everybody, and it's like that. What I hated that whole thing. It's like doubt, basically run. And I was like, that's his thing.
No, how about this? I see this, and all I could think about is the water boy, and he's looking like, that's my bitch.
Exactly, right? Right. And so
he's looking at everybody. I thought that. Oh yeah, that's my bitch right there.
I thought that, once again, nitpicking. I thought that was kind of dumb, but it's like they had to figure out a weak in the link, right? But it established how strong she is.
Right, and I got that. But like I said, I expected more. And from what I've read is that this is actually the dumbest Illuminati in all of the multi-universes.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They were the dumbest.
I mean,
and that's sad.
Technically, you could say the ones that sent Hulk off where it became World War Hulk and Planet Hulk and stuff like that, they were kind of dumb too because they got rid of Hulk and didn't tell him. They were just kind of like, hey, what's up, Hulk? Out of here. And then that's why he came back and like went on a tear on Earth when he came back. But the Illuminati have not been the most smartest people, even though they're supposed to be the smartest people. They haven't been the smartest people.
Well, I'm curious to see what they're gonna be like in the MCU timeline when they do come up. But that was pretty much my bad. Like I said, some of the forced humor. I thought that Doctor Strange, some of the one-liners were unnecessary. I thought there were some things there that like I said, it seemed forced.
It was still jokey at the beginning.
It was too much sometimes.
And then it became serious. And in Act 2, it became serious, and I wanted it to be serious all the way through. Yeah. That's all I wanted to do.
And obviously, like I said, the Illuminati scenes were kind of like, it could have been better.
Pause. Tell her to go pick up Hot and Ready real quick, and I'll send her the money.
Did I do anything?
No.
Okay.
Go. We'll just go.
All right. So The Illuminati scene, like I said, it could have been better. I thought that, you know, you introduced these new characters, which I hope that the Captain Carter character comes back. That was too freaking easy.
It's done.
For them to die, for her to die like that, I didn't like it.
If she comes back in more of What If. She doesn't come back in this.
Well, like I said, I just hope that because she was a lot better than that.
I wish they had made her, gave her a body double and made her bigger.
I want to see Human Torch meet Captain America. That'd be awesome. Or Human Torch. No. Or Chris Evans' Human Torch comes out and they look at him like
the Killmonger.
No, they're looking at him like, is that
really look alright?
He looks familiar. But anyway, so yeah, but that was basically it. I mean, overall,
my God, they could have brought Black Panther back, and in this universe, it was Killmonger. That was another thing I was like, if you'd have that would have been fine. It was like
because Killmonger was Black Panther and What If.
Yeah.
So but T'Challa was Star-Lord.
Yeah.
So there's that. Now, like I said, you know, those were pretty much the main things that kind of bothered me about it. Outside of that, great movie. Not perfect, but great movie.
But great movie. And I was like, I'm like when you put out your list, you were like, No Way Home, and then you put Doctor Strange, and I was like, is it that good? And then I watched it, and I was like, okay, yeah, I can see it. At least for not in my all-time top MCU films, but at least for like the most recent films, I can see it being number 2.
All I'm gonna say is Elizabeth Olsen saved this film.
Oh yeah. And I wonder what they're going to do with her character. I mean, because
she is alive.
So
the red glow.
Yeah, the red glow at the end. So we don't really know that she's dead.
She's probably in like a force field and letting all of the stuff just come down, and then she's gonna fly out of it.
But how do they trust her again? I mean, it's like, hey, you were our villain. Then you were on our side. And then you kind of lost your way, and we still forgave you. And then you became a villain again. And I was like, how do we add you back to the team again? When it's like, we can get you back on the lunchbox. It was like, how do we add you back to the lunchbox?
Well, what about Clint? He was possessed or by Loki. He was mind controlled by Loki.
It's like one movie. We're talking about like
I get
5 different movies here.
But what I'm saying is that he was. They had to trust him. They didn't know that he was controlled by Loki at the time. I'm just saying, like they didn't know he was controlled by Loki.
She's on time number 3.
All right.
She took over a town. She played with Tony Stark's head.
It's safe to say that you can't trust Wanda.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you can't bring her back to the team.
I got one more bad.
All right. Unless they bring back Agatha.
Hold on. All
right.
Where the hell was White Vision?
I thought they were going to address that.
This is why
I thought they were going to address that.
You cannot have a Wanda arc without White Vision.
I thought that he was going to be the reason that she worked her stuff out.
Exactly.
I didn't think she was just going to be like, I am too evil. I must kill myself.
Exactly, dude.
I thought he was going to be the reason,
correct.
Vision, you're right. I'm wrong. Let's
because
talk
White
me down
Vision
from this.
has all of the memories now.
Yeah.
He has all of the data. He's Vision again.
I think that's the only thing that they missed.
That was the when you're continuing WandaVision and you're looking at her grief and the only thing that can I guess self-redeem is saving her kids. You look at the end of WandaVision, she hears them calling for her, and she wipes and goes. That's her prime directive, her prime goal.
Right.
And there is no real resolve.
And he's not even mentioned in the alternate universes.
Exactly.
That's the only thing that they missed with
it.
Maybe he wasn't under contract at this point.
That was no. He's ready. He said, "I'll play Vision forever."
Okay.
But the way that they omitted him from it, that kind of kills it, because if this is supposed to be a direct sequel to WandaVision, then he plays a big part in that.
Yeah, they left a big cliffhanger with that.
Correct.
Saying that
Now,
he is out there. I thought that when she was struggling with it, Vision's gonna show up. I figured when she was in the house, when she was fighting herself and stuff like that, Vision's gonna show up. And that's gonna be the thing that sets her to I'm wrong here. Vision's gonna talk me down.
Now,
and he didn't. And that's maybe because they wanted it to be more about her. And maybe it was a change to where but they literally left that thread out there.
But he's part of the grief.
Unless they do another WandaVision and they bring him back.
That's a possibility, but you have
if they're saving it for another season.
You have House of Harkness. You want to talk about Agatha Harkness. So you have House of Harkness that's going to be coming out with Catherine Hahn.
Right.
How that plays into it, I don't know. Is she gonna be a mentor now, or is she gonna be
I feel like they're setting her up to replace.
Is
Scarlet
Wanda
Witch.
is Wanda going back to Westview to get her for some kind of redemption?
So
I don't know.
they're basically gonna be like, kind of like how they did in Spider-Man: No Way Home. Oh, remember that whole thing where everybody knew who you were and blah blah. It's like, don't worry about that. And it's like we're just gonna move on with the story.
Hey, how about this one? Hey, can we make everybody forget what Mysterio said? Hey, Prince.
No, the fact that it's like, hey, we got it all worked out. You're not in jail. Don't worry about it. Let's move on with the story. And they just kind of threw away a plot that was going on. I mean, they referenced it, but they really kind of threw the whole original plot away. And I feel like maybe they're possibly gonna do that with this. Maybe like, hey, remember you were dead? You're alive again.
I don't think she's dead. The red glow is obvious she's not dead.
I mean, it could be like the extinguishing of her powers, where she just kind of let off a full like power release. It's one thing that could happen. It's comics, whatever.
You done with your bads?
I'm done with my bads. Like I said, I was nitpicking with the bads. It's like, my only problem with this movie was the first half of the movie. Everything else was me just being fanboy, like, I didn't get what I wanted. I wanted this, and I didn't get that. I didn't get Namor. I didn't get Black Panther. I didn't get Tom Cruise, Tony Stark. Really upset about that one. I didn't get Tom Cruise, Tony Stark. But I would have been okay with Michael B. Jordan, Killmonger, Black Panther. I would have been super okay with that. I knew they weren't gonna give me Namor, but I would have been super okay with Michael B. Jordan.
Well, I think that they don't want to release, they don't want to show any kind of footage with Namor until he comes out.
That's what I said. I was totally okay with them
so.
not giving me Namor, but I really thought they were gonna give me Black Panther, and I was really hoping for Tom Cruise, Tony Stark.
I really wanted that too.
The same way we got.
I wanted him to come out as Les Grossman too.
The same way we got Loki.
What? Alligator Loki?
Mars guy.
Who?
Rescued him from Mars.
What?
What did they rescue from Mars?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Not Ben Affleck. What did they rescue from Mars?
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
When Matt Damon played Loki.
Yes. The same way we got Matt Damon Loki, I wanted to see Tom Cruise Tony Stark.
But that was okay.
It was a joke. But what? They were gonna kill him anyway.
I don't think they would have killed Tom. Tom Cruise.
They killed John Krasinski.
Tom Cruise and John Krasinski is not even close to being in Tom Cruise level. Are you serious?
Are they gonna bring Matt Damon back for
Loki?
Quiet
Place?
Are they gonna bring Matt Damon back for Loki? No.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. They're gonna bring Tom Cruise back for Iron Man.
I would say that I wouldn't even put Krasinski on freaking Matt Damon's level.
That's not. Hey, look. He was Jack Reacher too.
He was in The Departed.
He was Jack Reacher too.
The Departed. All right. So here's some fun facts according to IMDb.
All right,
this is actually the first MCU film released under the horror genre. I can see that.
New Mutants doesn't count.
I said MCU.
Oh, I mean it's on Disney Plus.
But it ain't MCU.
But it's under Disney Plus though.
So 2 days after WandaVision finished, Elizabeth Olsen flew to London to start this movie. So she just finished WandaVision, and she goes straight into there. And when I read this, it makes a lot of sense of why there is so much raw emotion in her performance in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Because she's still
because she's still
what she did it, yeah.
Because she's
still in that role, yeah.
Exactly. When you look at Captain Marvel now, oh my God, Brie Larson?
Yeah.
When Brie Larson filmed Endgame, there was something to the character that you just didn't connect with.
It had been a while since she'd done the character, right?
No. Just listen. Hold on.
Okay.
She filmed Endgame before Captain Marvel.
Right.
So you could see how it was not she was not Captain Marvel in that movie. She
didn't know the character yet.
Exactly.
She was just like, I'm just in the costume.
Exactly. But when she did Captain Marvel, it's different. So I can guarantee you when the Marvels comes out next year, she has a better understanding of who the character is. In this one, when you see that quick transition from WandaVision to straight up Scarlet Witch, it doesn't skip a beat. She's perfection, and her acting and her emotions are on par with how her character just left.
Okay.
Losing Vision and all that at the end, right? So that's why I understood how her
I
performance
say,
is.
a last bit of thing about this is that this is not an entry level MCU film. You had to watch WandaVision. You had to have watched WandaVision.
I would say WandaVision
and No Way Home.
Not necessarily. Okay, No Way Home, WandaVision, and I don't want to say Loki. I will
You don't have to
say
see Loki to
I
see
will
this.
say What If.
Okay, because you got to understand the Haley Atwell thing.
Well, not just that, but What If is multiverse.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
they're basically. I think they're called Guardians of the Multiverse.
Yes.
Or something like
they
that.
are in that last episode.
Right. So yeah, I would say that you would have to watch What If. All
right.
Or how about this one? This is Raimi's first feature film in 9 years since Oz.
Wow.
Yeah, no shit. Right?
I didn't know he directed Oz.
Yeah, that was friggin' DeFranco.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Half Italian, half
The
Swiss.
great and powerful Oz.
Yeah. He did not want to do. Sam Raimi initially did not want to direct any superhero films because
Until
he
they
lost
cut him a check.
because he lost faith in himself after Spider-Man 3. I could see that.
I can see that.
I
But
can
they
see
were
that.
willing to do Spider-Man 4, but he turned it down.
No, well, he turned it down because of creative differences.
Yeah, but
You know, which I'm kind of glad, in a way, because I think that introduction of Lizard in Spider-Man 4, because that was the villain. I think it was better with
it's fine.
Andrew Garfield.
It was fine.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, really.
All right, I know this review kind of took a while for
It
you
did
guys.
take a while.
When the review is longer than the movie. So if this is the first time that you're watching the channel, make sure you subscribe as well as click the notification button so that way you're aware of all the other reviews that we do on the channel. Manny.
Yes. Oh, for Aspen, Art, and Carlos, who aren't here, I'm Manny,
I'm Terrence.
and we'll see you next time.
Guys, you're still with us? Great. I know it's the end of the year, and I know you guys are in the holiday spirit, the spirit of giving, right? So we're asking you to give us money. So if you look down below, you'll see where it says patreon.com/thegoods. Right there is if you have an excess amount of cash laying around. If you have not bought enough Christmas presents and you're wondering, who else can I bring joy to this year? Us. That's who you can bring joy to. Have you ever looked at us and you're like, man, they should get a better camera? You're right, because we don't have enough money to. You can help us do that. Patreon.com/thegoods. Help us out. We'd appreciate it. And you can be a part of the goods yourself.